The military may soon be celebrating a first that's almost as exciting for gay Americans as this week's rollout of rainbow Doritos in support of LGBT causes.
The U.S. Army is poised to have its first openly gay civilian leader. President Obama has nominated longtime Pentagon official Eric Fanning to be the next Army secretary. Fanning, who faces Senate confirmation, would be the nation's first openly gay leader of any military branch.
Ooh. Wow. Pretty good, man. Wow. This is an historic moment. I mean, this was an Army guy who started his career in the Navy. And say what you want about the Village People. They predicted this 35 years ago with their prescient hit in the Navy, right? And they also came close to predicting gay Doritos with their lesser-known B-side, Nacho Nacho Man. I don't know if you remember that. Lesser known. But, no, this is really great news, though. But some people are trying to drag Eric Fanning through the dirt like a slice of pizza on the back of a rat. I mean, seriously, can you believe that rat, though? I'm so excited. Look how big that slice is. Sorry. Okay. But who's dragging Fanning through the dirt?
Mike Huckabee slamming Eric Fanning's nomination in a statement saying this: the president is, quote, more interested in appeasing America's homosexuals than honoring America's heroes.
Mike Huckabee, you know that homosexual and hero aren't mutually exclusive terms, right? Let me just want to clear that up. Let me give you an example of mutually exclusive terms: human and Huckabee. See, those don't. There's no. Okay, so Huckabee also said, quote, homosexuality is not a job qualification. Okay, is this hate speech or a resume building tip? I'm confused. As a reminder to you millennials out there trying to get a job under special skills, Excel, PowerPoint, gay stuff, any of those should go. I don't understand. All right. So what non-gay qualifications does this homosexual non-hero with his gay and the whole army up agenda have?
Fanning is currently the Army Undersecretary, the #2 job, and previously served in leadership roles in the Navy and Air Force.
This guy seems pretty well qualified. He's literally next in line. It's not like they found him on Grindr. Right? But it turns out Obama's not just making the military a little gayer, he's also trying to make it a little ladier. And not everyone is happy about it. Apparently, the Marines are battling government leaders in a fight to keep women out of combat roles. Now, there's a little bit of backstory here, so let me break it down. 2 years ago, Obama, as part of his Obama Don't Care planks, right? No, Obama does not give a right now, right? Women in the military, you all can go yourself. I don't care. Women in combat roles. He decided that all military combat positions would be open to women by the year 2016. And believe it or not everyone in the Marine Corps is psyched about it. Apparently, they don't like their oorahs to have any hoo-has. Now, the Marine Corps recently commissioned a $36 million study pitting all-male Marine units against co-ed teams. Oh, you like that, War and Peepees? It's kind of silly. Pitting all-male Marine units against co-ed teams in order to test women's combat readiness. Here's what they found.
The men's teams were faster, stronger, more lethal than the co-ed teams by a wide margin, scoring higher on 69% of all measured tasks.
Now, head researchers were reportedly stunned by the 69% difference. Bro researchers, on the other hand, high-fived and yelled, woo, 69, man, 69, yeah. But the differences didn't end there.
Men were faster at combat maneuvers, including clearing walls and evacuating casualties. Men outshot women on the M4 rifle with a hit rate of 44% to 28%.
Okay, I have to say, the difference in gender aim was most surprising to me personally, because when it comes to urine, like, women's aim is vastly superior. I'm just saying. From my own experience, I'm a little shocked at those numbers. I'm a little shocked, okay? Now, naturally, the test results have caused lots of Marines to balk at letting women into the combat ranks. Now, the problem with this is that the Marine test only gives us part of the whole story. Secretary of the Navy Ray Mabus called the Marine Corps study flawed and bias toward keeping women out of combat roles. And besides that, killing people and running fast aren't the only important skills for soldiers to have. If they were, an army of Oscar Pistorius clones would be the most dominant superpower on Earth. Wait, I'm not sure what that boo actually was. I'm not quite sure. And also, the New York Times reports that a different study of the same Marines showed that the female Marines scored higher in mental resilience and had fewer mental health problems. The co-ed units also outperformed the all-male groups in making complex decisions. So in other words, while men may be better at lifting heavy shit with their arms, women are better dealing with heavy shit in their brains. Take away. Yeah. And that's no easy task when you see and do the kinds of things soldiers see and do in wartime. Now, I know some men out there might be hearing me say that women are smarter than men. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, and what the studies show, is that men and women are each better at different things. And when men and women put their things together, it's just better for everyone. By the way, that lesson and others it's all written down in my new children's book, Men and Women Putting Their Things Together. Actually, not telling how it should. It's probably the title. Should have rethought. Oh, thanks for the extra clap. I appreciate that. The after clap. The bottom line is being a Marine requires a personal level of physical fitness. And even Ray Mabus, who runs the Marines, believes that if you set gender-neutral standards related to the job Marines have to do and you adhere to them, it doesn't matter whether the Marines who meet those standards are male or female. Now look, war is a nasty business. Anybody who wants to sign up to protect this country and put their life on the line and are completely qualified, we should be saying thank you. Right? I mean, seriously. They are fighting for our freedoms and for our right to watch Pizza Rat. And let me tell you something. It does not take balls to fight. It takes courage.